I selfishly am doing this video because I have had succulents at home. Some I have done a great job of taking care of, and some, honestly, I've not done such a great job. So I felt like I wanted to know a little bit more about succulent care for myself, so I did a lot of research, and I'm hoping that I can pass on some of this information to you, and it'll help you at home to care for your succulents as well. Here, look at these. They're gorgeous, you guys. I wanted every single one of them. These are all different planters done up with these gorgeous arrangements of succulents, all different shapes, so these concrete-like planters. And I was thinking to myself, I really want to bring one home, but I want mine to look like this at home. So how do I do that? Here, these are perfect. They are not underwatered. They are not overwatered. They are just gorgeous. And this is what I want to replicate in my own home, and I want you to do the same thing. So what I really want to talk about is after you come to the nursery and you pick out your gorgeous succulents like this, and you bring them home, where do you put them? So everybody talks about sun, 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 sun for succulents. It is true, they do like sun, but there actually can be such a thing as too much sun for a succulent. So basically what you want to do is you want to bring your succulent home to a very brightly lit space, but you do not want the direct sunlight pouring right in on it, and I can show you an example. Here's this little succulent. Some thought, oh, this is really neat, it's kind of multicolored, but really what's happening in here is that this succulent is sunburnt. This was sitting at the tippity top of our display in the greenhouse, getting more sunlight than any other of the succulents, and it's getting a little too much. Will it recover from this? Sure, but this is not actually how it's supposed to look like. This is what happens when a succulent gets too much sunlight. When they're getting just the right amount of sun, which I'll tell you is a minimum of 4 to 6 hours in your home of a brightly lit space in direct sunlight, then they will look nice and healthy in color like these succulents here. Okay, now I'm gonna move on to the next one. This is the most daunting one, but we can do this. Let's talk about watering. Here's the thing about water. When it comes to watering houseplants, there is really no exact science because it depends on many factors. It depends on your home. How hot is it? How cold is it? How dry is it? It depends what kind of container you're putting your plants in. Do the containers have drainage? Do they not have drainage? Are they little containers like this, or are they big containers like this? So there's really no exact, I can't say, you don't get mad at me, but I cannot say that you have to water this once a week or once every 2 weeks. But what I thought we should do is educate ourselves, and let's look for the signs of underwatering and overwatering our succulents, and that'll let us know and help us get into a routine at home. Okay, let's start with underwatering first, because I think I would rather that you err on the side of underwatering your succulents because they really do not like to be overwatered, and once they are overwatered, it's hard to recover from that. All right, so here is a plant. I know this is hard to tell. This looks pretty great here on the top, but these bottom leaves feel very soft and they're flat. Here's another one. This one's actually more obvious. The leaves are kind of curling, they're floppy, but really when I feel them, they're very flat, meaning they're not filled with water, and they're very soft. This is a sign of underwatering. The other thing is you might get some brown, crinkly leaves at the top. If you're getting that, it is underwatered. I want to show you this though. You see this plant? This has brown, crinkly leaves. On the underside, this is normal. This is not a sign of underwatering. This is what happens when it's growing new leaves. It needs to shed some of its old leaves. So for these, you can simply go around your plant and clean it up and pull those out, and you'll have a nice, fresh-looking plant again. So that kind of brown is okay. It's when the brown is at the top that it's a sign of underwatering. The other thing is that they can get wrinkly, kind of like elephant skin. So when you notice that your succulents are getting kind of wrinkly flesh, that is another sign of underwatering, and you know you gotta step up your watering a little bit. You can get them to recover from underwatering if you saturate the soil really well and maybe a couple times in a row. Now let's talk about overwatering, much harder to recover from. I did struggle to find a good example of overwatering until one of our employees happened to just walk in this morning, what great serendipity, and brought me a great example of overwatering a succulent. I don't know if you can see this, but what happens when you overwater a succulent is often they start to get very yellow. They start to lose their pretty color. That's one sign. The other sign is they can get mushy, like they literally feel like mush in your hands. Now this has gone way past mushy. This is getting rotted. So these leaves feel mushy, they feel really squishy, and now it's even growing some fungal growth on it, some mycelium. This is way overwatered, guys. There's no recovering from this one. So always kind of err on the side of underwatering until you get your routine. Okay, here's the other thing I really want to talk about. People will say, okay, I brought home these beautiful little succulents that are so tight, to the top of the container. And now look at it, like it's getting bigger, it's starting to grow up like this. These are nice and tight. And then I have another example of, look, it's starting to get what I call a little leggy. Don't get me wrong, I think this still looks beautiful. But some of you ask, what am I doing wrong? Why is it doing that? In this situation, you're doing nothing wrong. Succulents grow, guys. But there are kinds of leggy that aren't that great. So if you are putting your plant in not bright enough space, and it's not getting at least that 4 to 6 hours of sunlight, they can get what's called very leggy, and they can do it very quickly. They'll just start to grow so fast, but also the thing you'll find is that they're not very strong. It's a weak stem. So a leggy one that's a weak stem that's growing really, really fast is because it's getting too little sunlight. The other thing that can happen, even though I do want you to fertilize your succulents with a cactus and succulent fertilizer, that's important. I do want you to fertilize them, but if you over-fertilize them, you can cause that leggy growth as well. So what I want you to do when you fertilize is only fertilize in the growing months, which basically means spring to fall. You do not need to fertilize them during the winter. Let them take a little bit of a break. And probably just once a month from spring to fall is sufficient for succulents. They don't really need that much fertilizer. Here is a good rule of thumb for watering. When you water, I want you to let the soil completely dry out like the Sahara. Let it feel super, super dry. And then when you water, I want you to take a watering can like this, something that has a small little spout, so you can get right to the soil. The succulents are usually planted really tight. This way you are not wetting the flesh of the succulent, you're just wetting the soil at the base. And if you have drainage, water all the way through, let the water come all the way through the pot, let it drain out, do not let the succulent sit in water. If there's no drainage in the pot, I still want you to water very well, but just so it doesn't feel soggy, just so that soil feels evenly damp throughout the entire pot. So that's really important for your watering. I'm gonna say maybe, guys, don't hold me to it, but I'm gonna say maybe once a month you might be okay with your succulents at home, but like I said, look for the signs of underwatering and overwatering. So we talked about the proper light, we talked about the signs to look for underwater and overwatering and watering your succulents. We talked about fertilizing your succulents. We talked about succulents getting leggy. We talked about that, yes, succulents naturally grow. They can get a little leggy on their own, but you can enjoy that. That can actually be beautiful. If you don't mind that look, they can start to cascade down the pot, and that can be beautiful. If you really do mind that look, you can actually prune succulents. So you could take a succulent, you could actually cut it, leaving at least an inch of the stem at the base, and it will start to regrow at the base. And don't throw away these clippings. You can propagate these, but that's a whole nother video for another time. So hopefully I've enlightened you a little bit more about succulent care at home. I've helped myself with this research, so I think I'll be able to take one of these succulents home and take really great care of it. Thanks a bunch. See you next time.